We're live. Look at that.
Yay. It's good to see you guys.
Hey, everybody. We're going to explain how to save the comic book industry. What do you think about that?
I'll believe it when I see it.
You don't have any faith in us, do you, Jeff?
Not in that capacity.
To be honest.
No.
Yeah, this is a big episode. And it's interesting because a lot of big wigs in comics, a lot of the editor-in-chiefs of almost every single major comic book publishing company has reached out to Drink and Draw, and they're like, what do we do? Help us. And of course we're going to help. That's the type of people we are.
We're definitely givers.
Yeah, we're big time givers.
Yeah. Speaking of givers, what are you drinking there, big guy? What was that?
Well, Jeff, it's funny you should mention that. It's not exactly the most manly drink in the world. It's called bubbly.
Bubbly.
It doesn't really taste that good either. I'll be honest with you. I can't say go out and buy this. It's not good.
I picked up. So I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Cape Cod, and
oh wow.
I picked up a beer specifically for the two of you guys. I went and
let's see what this is.
It's my favorite new beer.
Boom sauce.
Lord Hobo.
Boom sauce.
Boom sauce.
That's a double IPA. One wasn't good enough. You had to double that.
One's never good enough.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Lord Hobo. I thought you'd appreciate that.
I totally appreciate that. That could, like, with the word boom in there, maybe we should, Boom Comics.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a comic book beer, Boom sauce.
Yeah. Dave, would you
like
drink a double IPA?
You drink a Boom sauce?
I'm not a big fan of IPAs, but I do love that the name of it.
Or they taste like dish soap to you, right?
No, you're thinking of
cilantro.
So I am thinking of cilantro.
Yeah, all the time.
No,
I'm often thinking of cilantro.
APAs are just a little bit too bitter. I like I like the wheat beers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave likes wheat.
Like get your carbs.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a meal for Dave. Let's see, Jeff, you prior to us going on and explaining how to save comics, you're working on something that's pretty impressive. Can we take a look?
Well, I mean, I don't know how it's detailed, so it's just a commission I've been working on for a little while I'm here.
And that looks a lot like, and I'm not an expert at comics, but that looks a lot like the Hulk and a lot like Wonder Man fighting.
It does. Yeah. Well, one of the nice things about a commission piece is you can draw something that would never happen in the comic books you worked on.
That's true. I say, what if this happened?
Yeah. So
hey,
my
Fabian.
favorite parts. Yeah.
Hey, Fabian, what if this happened? And Dave, you can't show us anything.
Yeah, no, actually, I decided after talking to you guys, I think I will try to fix this just for shit and giggles, but
look.
It's a Batman cover that I abandoned for a different idea. And I'm trying to bring out some white highlights. I made a mistake of using, what is this? The Dr. Martens bleed proof white.
Oh yeah.
Highlights, and it's not good for painting, really.
No, it's really just a very opaque paint that you can, if you have markers, they won't bleed through it because a lot of times regular paint it'll siphon through.
So I'm finding out now, trying to, because I was using it because I didn't have acrylic in my studio at the time, and now I'm trying to paint over the Doc Martens, and it's coming up like chunky. So now I'm like painstakingly wetting it and having to lift it off because it's not good.
How does the paper handle that? Do you have a special paper for that kind of process?
No, it's actually the paper Dan got me. What was it, Eon?
Oh yeah, the Eon.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, you need to hook me up. I need more.
He might be watching. You never know. Our Eon guy.
So you're saying that paper can handle all the various
Dave Johnson
waters and whatnot?
Yeah. Well, it was actually what? How many plies is this, Dan?
That might be a 3-ply, or it's at least 2-ply.
I think it's a 3-ply. So it actually holds up to the acrylic really, or the watercolor really well. I was actually quite surprised by it. So, but as far as saving the industry, what do you guys think? More?
I mean, we can start. Let's start with paper.
Yeah. Remember when Mondo paper was like a big deal? Like Marvel was like, we're printing this on Mondo, and I was like a teenager. I was like, I don't even know what that means, but I love it. Go for it.
Right.
I didn't like it that much.
No, I didn't like it at all. I thought they hadn't. They were still using the old flat colors, and so the paper was a little better. It took the ink a little bit better, so it almost showed you just how bad the printing process was.
Sure.
And how basic it looked compared to what it looked like maybe, what was it, probably less than a decade later when everybody started going with digital coloring.
I always felt like it made the colors too garish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was something nice about like when Christy Scheel or Klaus Janson, while he was coloring Daredevil, had that, and even I think Sienkiewicz Bill did some of his own color guides too, if I'm not mistaken. But those guys, and Barry Windsor Smith as well, he would do his color guides, and somehow they would stay true to it. And the way the color seeped into that newsprint, it just kind of really made it look special. They took that away from us.
The Mondo paper, I mean, is the Mondo paper that paper that was a little slicker, so the color sat on top of it more?
It was a little brighter too. It was a little whiter. So yeah, it wasn't that great. So that was one effort to save comics. I don't think comics needed saving then. I honestly don't know that comics need saving now. That might, maybe I jumped the gun with it.
It seems like comics are doing just fine. I mean, maybe it's not comics that some people want, but
I don't know. I think it's out there. There's a variety of stuff out there depending on what you want. That's what, like when I got into comics, there was a big variety. I remember previews had just started coming out, these catalogs where you could kind of look at what the real retailers were looking at, and you'd see stuff from Fantagraphics and different companies that weren't mainstream comics. And I'm like, man, there is a whole black and white world out there that are telling magnificent stories, and it just kind of opened my eyes to different art styles. Not that it had any effect on my drawing at the time, but it was kind of neat to see.
Yeah, I remember discovering underground and European comics, and that really blew my mind when I was younger.
So I don't know. I think there's plenty of craziness for people to get excited about.
Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe comics don't need to be saved. I
know. Should we just stop the episode?
Well, I think before we decide on how to save comics, we should probably define what comics are, right? Like, because I know some people don't like to include manga into those comics that are doing quite well in the United States, and some people do.
I think they should be included.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, it's a visual storytelling. I mean, I don't understand why somebody'd say it's not American comics, but that American comics aren't European comics.
Well, that might have mattered in the 80s when all you could get was American comics, but now you can get everything.
Yeah. I mean, think about, what wouldn't be in existence if it wasn't for manga. How many comics has manga inspired in American comics?
Absolutely.
That's definitely true. Think of all the Akira goodness. Are you guys going to tackle Akira on yours, Jeff?
We have not done Akira yet. We are. I think we're building up to some more of the Japanese comics. We've mostly done the comics that we love from the 80s and the 70s, and Alan Davis, and some of the old school American comics, and in some of the animation stuff. But I definitely think that you can't. I remember when I was a kid, I discovered Mobius for the first time. Right, so I think the influence of heavy metal in European comics they were so different, and they were so eye-opening, right? Like I'd never seen anything like that heavy metal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone now today they get everything. They get the Atomo, they get Mobius, they get all the stuff from South America. I think there's just it's so hard to define what actually makes it. I mean, it's just a visual storytelling. I think Dave's right. It's just the pictures and words.
Yeah.
So, Dave, what's your plan on that? I see you throwing in some highlights.
Let's see.
Well,
I
hit it with a toothbrush like crazy, and now, just to add texture to it, now I'm just, like if I had done this on a toned board, I was trying to get like a toned board feel, but I don't know if it necessarily worked. So now I'm just I'm eliminating all the speckle on the on the main figures.
Are you going to throw some splatter in there too? Some white splatter on top of that black?
Well, I don't know if you can tell, but
wow, I like that. I like that effect, Dave.
Yeah, that looks great.
I mean,
do you mind me saying that?
Yeah, no, how dare you? But no, I didn't have my airbrush down here at the time, so I did it with a toothbrush, so it's a little wonky.
That's the way I do everything, honestly.
A little bit too much.
With a toothbrush, Dan? That's your technique?
That's what I use. But yeah, if I had an airbrush, man, that'd be awesome, I think.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more even, I think. So yeah, it's just a matter of, it's kind of a pain in the ass, but and once again, this isn't going to be for print, so I don't even know why I'm doing it, but
because it's art, bro.
Because you're an artiste, Dave.
Bro.
In your blood, bro.
I mean, the cover that I did instead, I like a million times better.
So what was it? Because I think this is really great. And what was it that was unsatisfying to you? You didn't like the composition?
I felt like the composition was too.
Oh yeah, it was too balanced.
And it just, I don't know, just something about it. It just wasn't working for me. I like this figure. I feel like this got a little away from me. And the background isn't that great. And it doesn't feel super designy to me, which the one that I ended up going with is way better design wise. So, sometimes not everything works out the way you want it to.
Agreed. I always think there's too much pressure on a professional artist to make every piece functional and successful. Sometimes it's just an experiment.
Yeah. Oh, I experiment all the time, so I'm just lucky that not every experiment ends up in failure.
Right. What's I didn't discover one way to make a light bulb. I discovered 99 ways not to make a light bulb.
Exactly. And the other main reason I gave up on this was Dan pointed out that it kind of, if you can go back to mine.
Oh, yeah. This is.
It looks like Killer Croc's having his way with Batman's butt. So.
I mean, that wasn't the phraseology I used.
It kind of was.
All right, maybe it was.
Is that how crocodiles work? Is that how crocs
work?
That
is their methodology, Jeff.
Very amorous.
Okay.
Yeah, they are extremely amorous.
For some reason, I thought there was like just a fertilization of an egg thing, and not so much a.
That's what they'd like you to believe. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of crocodiles are a little tricky. My experience.
Right. For some reason, I thought it was more sophisticated.
Yeah, I mean, sure, crocodiles are always trying to pull that.
Right. I mean, the biggest con a crocodile ever convinced you of was that they weren't into domination.
And they obviously are.
Right. I get it.
Much like if you put something in front of their mouths and they feel it, they'll immediately, like instinct, they just have to snap at it. I think Batman bending over is
a trigger. It was triggering.
It's just too much to resist.
Yeah. Well, Batman works out. Yeah. I would imagine he's a pretty sweet ass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's also those form-fitting pants of his.
Exactly.
Gorgeous form-fitting pants of his.
Those little Kevlar undies.
God, they're beautiful. Here's a comment. Obviously, Philip made a comment. He goes, "We need cheap floppies again."
Yeah, but
to save comics,
It could help.
I mean, they're still available. People could buy them right now.
How cheap?
I mean, that's a good point. Like what is the rate of inflation? Because when I was a kid, 35 cents or 50 cents was, I remember it jumping up to 75 cents was astronomical.
Yeah, I remember that I was like, Mondo paper or not.
I can't afford this. Yeah. This is a lot for a comic.
People are throwing around Mondo paper, and I'm thrilled about it. But
Well, I mean, but now you've got, the digital medium, and I don't know, isn't that less expensive, right?
It depends. It depends on who's selling it and when they're selling it. But yeah, I do believe it is less expensive. It certainly has less production costs.
Well, yeah. Oh, exactly. But you got to pay somebody to draw the stuff and write the stuff and color the stuff and letter the stuff. I mean, all that. After doing my Kickstarter, you find out just how much all this stuff adds up to. It ain't cheap. You know? Jimmy Palmiotti, when he does his Kickstarters, he pays in advance. He's just hoping that the Kickstarter, pays him back.
Speaking of Kickstarters, Jimmy Palmiotti has he put up something for Amanda, and I think it has maybe 5 days left, 6 days left. But her sketchbook's up there, and it already broke 100,000.
Wow, Amanda's, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. My sketchbook, Jeff.
Wait, you have a sketchbook?
Yeah, Jeff, my sketchbook. I was like, let me show it to you in case you haven't seen it. There it is. It's called Dan Panosian, me, obviously. Urban Barbarian. That's a little nickname I like to go with. Collected Works. It's available. It's available at Zoop. If that means anything to a person like you.
And you said that it actually has a bunch of the stuff you've done on the show and a bunch of private work.
Yeah, it's got a lot of silly stuff like that.
That's great.
So if you like silliness, and I think a lot of our patrons do kind of like silliness.
Is the link in the description box, Dan?
I actually did that, yeah.
Excellent. So someone could just go to the description box and then link to this book and get it.
If the way I've described it really excites them, that's exactly what they can do.
That's very convenient. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Wait, did you color that, Dan?
Yeah, I actually colored that. Here's the wraparound. This might offend Jeff.
Wait,
because of your picture on the side?
No, I thought for the keister.
I love keisters.
Well,
your picture's offensive.
Show the butt, Dan.
Killer Clark got excited.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, you can pick this up. The campaign's still going, and you can pick it up at Zoop.
Can I pick it up at my grocer's freezer?
I wish you could. Wouldn't that be nice? So
you can get it at Zoop.
Mm-hmm.
What's the timeline for this for? You make your numbers, and then when can people expect to get this book?
Good luck getting it. I just, no, I don't.
I imagine it'll come pretty quick, right? All the art's done, everything's already finished.
That's a good thing. It's already finished. So
right.
Once the campaign is over, I imagine they're going to print it up. I mean, I think printing these days is a little bit, it's a little tougher. There's a paper problem, I guess. So that might take some time, but
supply chains are a pain.
I prefer my crowdfunding books to take at least 5 years to
Well, that's out there. That's definitely available. But no, this will not take that long, hopefully.
I got one more question, Dan. Will it be printed on a Mondo paper?
You know what? I wish.
I don't know if I can
hardcover or softcover. It looks like it's softcover.
It looks that way in this JPEG, but it is actually a hardcover.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, I've never had that before, so I'm kind of excited about that.
That's beautiful. Well, your art deserves a hardcover.
Thanks. This is the first time ever.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
Well, I would say that cover itself has kind of an old school illustrator quality to it. Was it inspired by anything?
Well, I like that old sort of stuff. So here, let's get back to some Dave Johnson action here. Yeah, I mean, I love all those old covers and the type of work that people were doing, early illustration work. And it's kind of like, I don't know, are you familiar with like Greg Smallwood?
I have heard the name.
He's really, he's done such a great job of kind of giving stuff that illustration feel to what he does. And I've always admired that. And Dave, of course, like even like his 100 Bullets covers had that sort of feel to it. I always thought.
Well, I was, ripping people off, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, that was a word on the street. Right.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I hear you, Dave, and I get the, the self, deprecation of I've read people, but like, I think that we find inspiration where we find it, right? Like, if you studied George Bridgman's anatomy, then that's the anatomy you're going to do. If you looked at those old illustrations, that's the stuff that's going to pop out.
100%. Yeah.
I prefer to just say I rip stuff off.
Well, I mean, you are a thief.
Yeah. I mean, in a lot of cases, you are actually ripping them off.
Right.
Yes. I broke into their houses.
Exactly. You took their TVs and their CD collections.
Yeah. Here, Jeff. I don't know if you're interested, but I'm drawing a Batman, and he's doing a little bit of leaping.
Fantastic.
He's a leaper.
Nice foreshortening on the legs.
Thank you. Those are, of course, faked, but
what do you mean faked?
Well, I mean, I just have to hope they kind of do that. Like I was like, this hand up here, I'm like, how big do I make that hand? And technically, this hand is closer.
Right.
So it's a little strange thoughts, I guess.
I mean, drawing a figure in perspective. Andrew Loomis did some nice work on that. If you ever wanted to look at, I'm sure you've already studied him because it doesn't look fake to me at all.
Thanks.
What's that background?
I mean, I've studied I studied the John Buscema book on forced perspective when it comes to figures.
It has everything you're ever going to need. He covered it.
Yeah.
But I also know you studied your Loomis and you studied your Fawcett. I know you studied all those guys.
Yeah, I studied all of them and love them.
Is there anyone in particular, apart from John Buscema, that you think starting artists, people who want to save comics and make comics of their own?
Way to bring it back, Jeff.
Right.
Well, I don't know. I think there's so many great guys out there. I mean, I loved Frazetta. I used to study those books. Yeah, those collection of like Bantam books out there, or Ballantine books, that they were.
Yeah, I mean those old covers were fantastic.
Yeah, and they would put those out. Betty Ballantine would publish those things. I think there was like, I forget how many volumes there were, but man, those were like treasure troves of great, inspiration for artists.
Well, I mean, here's actually a serious question. Do you think that the saving of comics can be done from the art creative side, or it must come from the commercial publishing side? Or is there some sort of combination of the two?
I think that the publishers would do well to invest in more of the creators creating. Like you have a lot. I remember some of my favorite comics were the artists that decided they wanted to start drawing this stuff, and you don't. There seems to be less and less of that. They want to compartmentalize. This artist, the writers write and the artists draw. Sadly.
So more of a European Japanese model where the writer and the artist are the same guy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of I mean, some of my, I know some of yours are too. Like
Absolutely.
Yeah. You wouldn't have a Frank Miller or a Walt Simonson. And I mean, some of the best stuff that everybody loves from those cool, late 80s were all done by writer artists, with the exception of like Alan Moore and Gibbons on Watchmen.
Right.
I think one of the things that I see as a problem is just the scraping of the bottom of the barrel, with the ideas. It's I mean, as a creator, I can't imagine why any creator nowadays, especially seeing the way that the creators are being treated in the the way like after they create something for some of the bigger companies, and then those characters go on to become billion-dollar properties, and they get maybe $5,000 if they're lucky.
Right.
And so I think most creators probably have a lot of great ideas, but why would you give those away? But they still want to work for Marvel and DC, so they end up doing, well, what if Elektra was now Daredevil, or Thor is now a woman? It's like, instead of coming up with new characters like Beta Ray Bill or anything uniquely interesting related to those characters, now they're just rehashing the same old shit. And
right.
I think it shows through. Imagine if these big corporations actually gave equal value or good value to a creator who comes up with stuff. Imagine what could have been created.
Well, I mean, part of it, I mean, they are a corporation. The big companies do have to.
No, hey, believe me, I get that, but there is a level of just ridiculousness on how little they care about the person who creates stuff. And if, eventually you're going to have nobody creating stuff for them. They're just going to only stick in the sandbox that Marvel and DC already has, and you're not going to have any. You're not going to have any new Batman villains that are interesting. You're just going to have rehashes of the same old characters.
Do we need new Batman villains?
Well, why not? It's not like he started out with a million different villains. No, over time, you had different writers and artists come on, and they created new characters, and that's where you've got ones that you can now look at as like, wow, that character is really great. That added to the Batman, storyline. And now I don't know. I'm not seeing it as much. I mean, seriously, why? If I came up with a great idea, why would I go to Marvel or DC and go, hey, here's a great idea. Can you take it from me and make tons of money and then not pay me? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Jeff,
it does seem dumb.
When Dave pushes it that way,
I mean, what Dave's saying, I think, is pretty valid. If there's not going to be any sort of compensation for bringing something new or breathing life into something, then why would you breathe life into it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
but also,
I get taking a paycheck to work on something. That's different, but I wouldn't, if I was working on a regular book and I had this great idea, it's like, I would think twice about, well, maybe I'll save it for something I'll do on my own, whereas they could be benefiting from, this kind of stuff.
I definitely think that there is a left hand not knowing what the right hand is doing aspect to the big corporations. I remember years ago, I created some characters for some new versions of characters while I was working on Superboy. And I did everything you're supposed to do. I said, I'm going to get paid for a new character creation. I negotiated a price, signed a contract, created the characters, did the work, and then DC and sent me the contract, and then I sent the signed contract back, but DC did not sign the contract because the editorial department did not check with some other departments, and they had a policy of not paying for characters created on books that were about to be canceled. So,
No.
so I did everything that you were supposed to do, and then wound up signing the contracts, and then having DC not co-sign the contract.
So you did the work, you gave them the characters, and then what? So they keep the characters you created, and you get nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is not. So I negotiated in good faith, worked in good faith, signed contracts in good faith, and was not dealt with in good faith. So I definitely think that there is not only a why would I bother creating something for someone that's not going to pay me. There is a why would I bother creating something for someone who does not honor those contracts.
I mean, it's the same thing in animation, like I was actually quite surprised that, Paul Dini and Bruce Timm got a piece of Harley Quinn after the fact.
Right. That is amazing.
I mean, they wanted to work with him so bad. They actually retroactively gave them a piece of the pie.
Right.
When, they didn't have to, I mean, that usually never happens.
Well, I mean, they should be, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean,
I'm
obviously.
not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just amazed, but usually it's not that. How many people have created characters that have gone on to make, millions of dollars that get nothing because they were work for hire?
Well, I mean, one of the reasons I even brought that story up, Dave, is because I want to put a small chink in the armor, Dan, about the idea that work for hire means something that it doesn't mean. Like, you can behave and sign contracts for work for hire in the best of intentions and the most honest of motivations, and then still get jacked because someone didn't honor that contract.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Right. So when people talk about like, oh, well, you signed the contract, you understood what was happening, it's your own fault for not being a better negotiator, that always infuriates me because that's not actually true a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on Ben 10, I knew it wasn't a good deal, but I didn't realize just how popular Ben 10 was going to be,
Right.
and how far flung they were going to use all my work without payment and or credit. If I'd known that, maybe I would, but I wasn't really in a position of power at the time.
Well, also, I remember you doing that at the time, and you knew that it was a shady deal, but they'd also made you the promise of, listen, this one, we'll see how it does, and if it does great, then that's fantastic, and then we'll use you for the next one. We'll give you a piece of the pie on it. Like, that's the lie they tell you.
Sure.
And yeah,
Well,
should you believe it or not? But like,
well, the other lie is, oh, we're a big family. It's a big family. We do cookouts, and but
right.
when it comes down to dollars and cents, it's like, oh, you're no longer family. You're just a cog in the machine that we're taking advantage of. So, lesson learned.
Yeah, well, I had my share of that with, DreamWorks. So.
Yeah.
Right.
So as far as saving industry, I don't know how this helps with that, but I do think
right.
If creatives were, given compensation for the ideas that they're coming up with, more so than just a paycheck, maybe the comics would be better.
I think that there are a lot of ideas that are left untouched because they require a fair amount of emotional and psychological commitment from the artist, and the fiscal responsibility is not met. So I think that stuff just gets left unimagined.
It's possible, yeah.
I know you're excited by seeing this blank page, but I got tired of working on the other thing. I just
let me see it.
Oh, you got tired of it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going back up on the shelf for now.
Uh-oh.
It might be going to the burn pile. I don't know. So.
Well, don't
You hate
do that.
it that much? Don't do that, Dave.
You know what?
Yeah.
Sometimes I agree with Dave that sometimes the cathartic move is to just destroy it.
Yep.
Sometimes that's what you got to pretend it never happened, right?
I mean, if I do it, I'll do it in private because I don't need another Ryan Otley situation.
Right.
That was kind of funny to me. I mean, the fact that you're not allowed to do anything to your own art. That nobody was buying in the first place. So it's like, man, let the guy burn artwork if he really wants to.
Yeah, but there is that kind of like there's so much lost art between the Hal Foster, Prince Valiant stuff being destroyed and the Jack Kirby stuff being destroyed. I definitely think there's an emotional response to.
Well, I think that wasn't voluntary. That wasn't Kirby wasn't destroying that artwork.
No, not at all. No, he wasn't destroying it on his own. It was being destroyed. Like the syndicate destroyed all that fantastic Hal Foster, Prince Valiant stuff, right? So, but I do think that there's still an emotional response to like, oh wait, don't save it. You have to save it.
Well, I see his point. You're on a book for many years. That shit just adds up. You
right.
get tired of it, like, and if it's not selling, what do you do with it?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I know like Al Milgram had his whole garage filled with FedEx boxes, just filled with art, and I get the other side of it because when I found out there was a lot of Micronauts art in there, I was like, no.
Oh yeah, that hurts.
Oh, that'd be awful.
that's sad.
All right, now even I'm getting emotional.
Oh, I was just like thinking about like Silverfish just having a field day with all that paper.
Yeah.
So I get both sides of it, or like when you found out like Frazetta went in and decided he didn't like certain paintings and he went back and changed it. And you're just like, no, I loved it the way it was.
Yeah, don't touch that.
Well, how many times did he repaint that woman running on the beach on the horse?
Oh, probably quite a bit.
Right? Was it like 5 or 6 times he changed that one?
Well, did he change it or repaint it?
No, he would paint over. He would paint over this stuff, and that was kind of the. Finally, they said, "Okay, you got to stop."
this one's perfect.
The families would, I think, finally would just okay. Enough is enough, Frank.
Right.
Yeah. Oh man, that is crazy. But still, one piece out of how many covers have I done? Like, if I were to destroy that one, like, and it never saw print, so it's not even in canon as far as
Yeah, but it's Dave Johnson canon.
It's just,
and that's all valuable.
Yeah.
No, it really isn't. But
no, do you not? I mean, I have. Remember, there was a cricket trial where Bill Skevich came, and I think I've told Bill the story already. But he threw away. He was doing some Frankenstein drawing. He threw it away. And I kept it.
Yeah, remember you brought that up when he was on here.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not signed. It's just a very, very cool drawing. But it would be sad if it no longer existed.
Yeah.
It's funny, when I was living down in Florida, I was hanging out with this sculptor named Colin Christensen, who's an amazing talent, and he had a bunch of stuff that was in the garbage bin that was, halfway finished. And I was like, dude, I can't afford one of his sculptures, but, there was this piece. It was like a girl's face that was unfinished, didn't have eyes or anything, and it was kind of raw. And I was like, dude, can I just have this? And he goes, yeah, on one condition. And I said, what's that? And he goes, hey, you never sell it. And if you ever get tired of it, you got to promise me you'll destroy it. And I said, deal. So somewhere down the road, I'm going to make a video for him. And if I ever get tired of it, which I'm not tired of it yet, but maybe take it out in the woods and hit it with a shotgun or something.
Jeez.
I like that. I mean, I like that. That just makes the art even more artsy.
Well, yeah, he doesn't want. Well, I think that's the other reason why I'll probably destroy this piece, because who wants bad artwork out there?
I know. I see a lot of stuff on the internet. I'm like, oh, I'd like to
Yeah. Oh, believe me, if I had a time machine, I'd go back and destroy about 80% of the con sketches I've done. Just
Dan, are you talking about your old stuff, your personal stuff?
Huh?
Dan, are you
no,
talking
sometimes you'll do stuff at a convention, you know,
Right.
and that'll be the stuff that makes it, you know, on the internet. And you're like, that was a free drawing, or, you know, that was something.
Right. I was like, that was a speed drawing, or that was not.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it's just a bad drawing that I did a long time ago, you know.
Right.
It happens.
I mean, the internet and eBay really changed how con sketches, you know, started happening. You know, as soon as I started seeing con sketches up on the internet, I was like, man, I gotta slow down.
Right.
Take a little bit more time with this, because this is practically being published.
Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, it begins to represent your work, you know.
And then, you know, the prices started going up, and, you know, so.
It is tricky, I think, to balance between creating an affordable piece of work that someone at a show can get that might just think you're cool, and then doing something that's gonna be put on the internet and be a calling card for your work. So you have to make sure it's awesome.
I mean, you know, whenever somebody complains to me about, you know, the prices and stuff, I'm like, well, talk to the guys who, you know, would put this shit up on eBay almost immediately after giving you a hard luck story about how they're your biggest fan, and, you know, all that kind of stuff, and then you see the stuff for sale.
Well, that's on you, Dave. You know, you gotta, if you're the biggest fan, you have to recognize they're lying right there.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. I should never believe somebody that says they're a fan of me at all. So
exactly,
right.
So that's on you.
And you should just give me all the art that you would be giving them, because I love it. I am your biggest fan.
Jeff is a huge.
I'm a huge Dave fan. I actually, two of my favorite pieces of art are those Cankle girls that you did, those watercolor ones, those Mobius style Cankle girls you did a long time ago.
Did I give you one of those?
You gave me two of them.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm a nice guy. Look at that.
Yeah, I think you were drunk, but yeah, no, it was. I lucked out.
Nice.
Yeah, no, we, you know.
Dave's like, how do I get those back now?
Let me talk to. Right after the show,
He's like,
you and I are gonna have a little talk, Jeff.
Yeah, those are really good. I don't know if I meant to give them to you.
Yeah.
Dave, listen, you can have them back anytime you want. They're amazing. They're on my walls. They're fantastic.
No, if they're on your wall, they're permanently yours. And then,
yeah.
No, of course I gave them to you. You know, whatever.
In a lot of ways, Dave's a friend.
Yeah, well, yeah, in most ways. All right, so I finished this drawing.
How does it look? Let's take a look. Hold on. You finished it?
I just had to fill some blacks in.
Hold on.
So I would say that this is definitely this came out good, but like after I did it, I definitely would change some things for the next version.
What would you change?
Yeah, Jeff.
So the Wonder Man figure is a little stiff.
Okay, I can see that.
I would definitely arch his back a little bit more.
You've always liked the man with an arched back. That's true.
I would create more of an action line from the hips down to the shoulders, and then the Hulk. The Hulk is pretty good, but I would change his face a little bit and have him a little. Basically, I would increase the figure tension a bit, and maybe when I do it the next time, I'll structure the rocks in a more complementary composition as opposed to a chaotic composition.
I would rotate his fist.
Which one?
The one closest to Hulk.
Oh, the Wonder Man fist?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, definitely. I think as I change the body posture,
because it looks like he's doing a jab as opposed to like a power, a power cross.
Yeah.
Here's what I would do, Jeff, and you don't have to take my advice. Put a sword in that hand and have him stabbing Hulk in the chest, right in the heart, and killing him.
No, I mean, I think that's money in the bank, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fans are not going to like that. Hulk will be dead.
Right, I mean, that's the kind of.
No, this is what you should do. Get a toothbrush and some black paint or black ink, and toothbrush like shit all over it, and then give up on trying to white it out afterwards, like because that's worked.
No, I think that's a classic Johnson move.
Yeah.
He says, I guarantee the guy who's getting that will love Jeff.
Right.
This is true. That is quite a piece, Jeff.
Well, yeah, no, it came out good. But I mean, you learn every time you draw something, you learn something from it, right? Like that's the goal of being a professional.
Here's a humble brag from Ted. He picked up some Chris Sprouse pages for $20. Ted, did you look on the back of those pages and see all the amazing like under sketching that Chris does? Because he would flip flop those pages.
Oh man, that's not cool, Ted.
And he would flip them over and draw in reverse to try to make sure the proportions were correct.
Yeah, a Chris Sprouse page is a mathematical wonder.
Yeah, I mean they're so perfect.
Yeah,
I would always flip my pages over and just draw penises, but
yeah, that's why yours go for less.
Yeah, well, Dave's pages are a different kind of wonder. Still amazing. Here's the new one I've been.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, I love that, Jeff. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. See, trace one of those swords, put it in Wonder Man's hand, and then you have a
sticking it.
Yeah, sticking it right into the liver and/or pectoral muscle.
All right, version 2 coming up.
No, the story of things on the back of artworks kind of reminds me of that story I heard about Mike Golden when he was a
maitre d',
a cover editor at Marvel, and I heard one time somebody sent in their artwork, and then a couple of months later the art return gave it back to him, and he happened to flip it over, and Mike Golden had drawn a stinky fish because that's what he thought of the art. Like little stink lines coming up from the fish.
Wow, that's not nice.
Apparently he wasn't the most we'll say
friendly.
My brain's not working today.
Compassionate editor.
Passionate.
Political.
Word, like maybe you should, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Kind of, like he would just give his opinion. Maybe where it wasn't wanted or needed, or I don't know. I mean, I kind of wish I had been working for him. That would have been, like he was a big hero of mine. So it would have been nice to get some feedback, way back.
Yeah.
So when I could have used it, I can still use it, I guess.
Dan, you got some great feedback from Neil Adams, right? Back in the day.
Oh, I don't know if it was great. He gave me feedback. I mean, it wasn't complimentary, but yeah, I used to work for him, and he'd take the work and kind of redo it, but he'd explain what he was doing. It was probably I didn't go to art school, so that was basically a brief art school for me.
Yeah, my art school was basically Gaijin Studios when it came to comic art, that is.
Yeah, those are all talented guys. You had Adam Hughes, you had Brian Steelfreeze, and Jason Pearson.
Right.
Yeah.
Different inkers like Carl Story.
I remember the first day that Carl showed me how to do a thin to thick line, because I was doing thick to thin. And I was like, man, it never ends where I want it to end. And he goes, yeah, you start where you want it to end, and then you just go to the fat end. And it was like the clouds opened up and the sun shined down on my uninformed brain. I was like, duh, that makes perfect sense.
Hey, Dave, can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you show me that right now?
Yeah.
Dan, can you cut in on Dave?
Must I?
Please.
So starting out, I'd want to do a thick to thin line, and I would do that.
Right.
Look at that.
You would snap it at the end a little bit.
Yeah, but it's always, you never know where it's going to end. Whereas if you were to go thin to thick.
Look at that.
You know exactly where it's going to end, where the tip is.
Right.
I mean, my hand's shaky as shit, so don't. If this was Dexter Vines, it would be laser straight. But
yeah, Dexter's a pro.
Or Tim.
should be.
I mean, Tim's a super pro, and that brush that's the classic brush we've been like you guys always use, that Japanese one.
Pentel,
Right.
I used to use the Raphaels and the other ones, the dip brushes, but it just got lazy.
Right.
You got to clean those.
Well, guys, you want to? It's been close to an hour.
Wow, that happened fast.
Yeah. Well, Jeff, we saved the comic industry, is what we did.
I mean, we at least taught people how to make a clean line.
Yeah, I mean, we did that. We baby stepped our way into it.
I mean, one little piece at a time, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly. Let's see here. I'll switch out. This is as far as I've gotten on this. But
like I said, I love that figure. I love those legs. That's a really great foreshortened figure.
They kind of remind me of the Jerry Ordway Superman.
Oh
leg.
Yeah, he was always good at that.
Yeah, I've got a little advice.
Okay.
It needs more black.
Yeah. So now I'm going to go back in with some toothbrush and some black paint, and I was going to put the logo in on this one, but I'm like, I don't know. I think it's.
I'm trying to figure out what's going. I take it. I'm trying to figure out what's going on the left-hand side.
Nothing, Dave.
Well, no, I'm just
Zero.
trying to figure out where you're going to put the blacks, I guess.
Oh, I've got. You can't really see it, but most artists know. Like, there's little X's. We put X's in there, and
right.
To kind of.
There's going to be a lot of black in that, right? So it's going to be just his white.
I was just trying to figure out where the black was. So.
Nice.
I'll probably have it finished tonight, I'm guessing.
Are you going to throw some white splatter on that afterwards, or some?
I love the splatter, and now that Dave keeps bragging about his toothbrush, I gotta,
I mean, I know you're a huge fan of the splatter. I mean, I don't see any place for orange marker on there, so you're going to have to double up on splatter.
This area right here might all be orange sky.
Yeah,
Yellow marker, Jeff.
Perfect.
I got to say, all the gridding, crisscrossing lines kind of remind me of John Paul Leon.
That's who I was thinking of when I was doing this. I go, well, how would John Paul just do some crazy,
Yeah,
and you know what, John had a lot more balls than I do when it comes to this stuff, because, I'm putting in rim lighting here and there to pop the from the background, and John wouldn't. He would just go, I guess that's lost in shadow, and it.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe one day, fast forward 10 years, I start getting really bold about it. But I get precious about those things, and John wasn't a slave to those type of concepts, and the work is just brilliant.
Yeah. He definitely had the courage just to black it out.
Yeah, that takes courage, and as you know, Jeff, I've always been a bit of a coward. So.
Well, I know when it comes to spotting blacks, that's something that I'm always terrified of.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the other trick I learned at Gaijin was if you were worried about screwing it up by adding too much black, just make a Xerox and just
that's nice.
screw it on that, and then that way you're not, you screw that up, you just throw it away and try again. And
that is a great trick. That's a great tool, Dave.
Sounds like cheating, though, in my book, Dave.
Right. Lessons learned.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. This has been fun. And if anybody's interested in picking up that art of my art, the art of Dan.
Yeah, definitely hit the description box, the link, because you're doing pretty good so far, right, Dan? Don't you have?
Yeah, we met our goal, and now we're just going to put perks out there. So go to zoop.gg and check it out. There's a lot of other books and cool things out there.
I heard if you made it to 20 grand, you were going to cut your hair down to a crew cut.
I've done that. Let's check this out. Let's see what Jeff's up to here.
Nice.
Very cool. Now, who is that? Is it a character in your series?
Yeah, I'm just working on some. So I'm working on my book, and I'm working on commissions, and I have a storyboard gig that I'm doing day to day. But
you're busy.
Yeah,
man.
just a character.
I got a good name for him.
Yeah, tell me.
This can't be good.
Two-bladed Ghibli.
And two-bladed Ghibli.
It doesn't seem like you put a lot of thought into that, Dave.
No, I didn't really think about it.
No, I mean, I like the two-bladed part. That seems.
Yeah, it had promise in the beginning.
And then the Ghibli thing, it lost.
Well, you got Blade.
Studio Ghibli on the mind.
Yeah, you got Blade, which is a Marvel character. You just call him Two-Blade.
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 Yeah,
TB. TB for short. I see
perfect.
it. All right, fellas. Adios. Until next week. And then earlier in the week, you can catch Jeff's show, another round. I don't know what your topic will be, but are you still doing it even though you're out of town?
Yeah. So yesterday we did one on the Alan Davis X-Men issue 213 with Sabretooth and Wolverine. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
You know what? You should do one on Super Patriot.
On Dave's
you know what? That is, by the way, that is on the list.
I'd love to hear you guys analyze an issue of Prophet. I'd just love to hear you guys try to complement that.
I mean, here's the thing: it's all stuff that we love, and we love Prophet, and we love Super Patriot. And I definitely think that there is a lot of information and joy to be found in those comics.
That's true. A lot of people do dig them. I get a little choked up and looking at them, but I'm happy that people dig them.
Do me a favor and do the second series, not the first one. That's
that second series is incredible. The one that Brandon Royal, Brandon Graham, he did.
No, I'm talking about my Super Patriot.
Oh.
But yeah, that's also a good idea.
Yeah, 100%. All right, everybody.
Already on the list, guys.
All right, everyone. Toodaloo.
All right.
Not everybody. Don't remember,